Howdy! This is your friendly neighborhood physics teacher here, and I'm about to step you through on how to do the wave on a string Phet simulation. So the first thing you need to do is scroll down all the way down here. So this is what all your work for this week is. And you should see the wave on a string Phet simulation. So here are your questions. I would open that up, and then on a separate tab, I would open this up so you can have them side by side. Let's click on this first. So if you click on this, it will open up. This one does not need Java, so shouldn't have any of the funky issues that we had in the last one. But you can technically play with it inside Schoology, but there are going to be some issues. So go ahead and push that little button so you can push it out and make it its own tab. And this will be the time that you can sit here and drag it so you can make it side by side if you so wish. Now, your questions step you through exactly what to do. So you should be looking at your questions. You should be looking at your questions. One more time. You should be looking at your questions. Okay, just want to get that through. So on your questions, it says open up the wave on a string simulation, the links on Schoology. Check, we already did that. Now, just a couple of hints. If you ever need to stop the wave motion altogether, hit restart, and the restart button is this orange button right here. So this orange button is the refresh, restart, fix everything back to normal. So the first for the first couple of questions, we want to make sure that you select dampening to be none. So here's our dampening bar, and you want it to be on none. Select pulse as an option. So up here you have manual oscillation. We want pulse to be selected. Select tension to be high. So again, we have this little tolerating thing for tension. We want tension to be high. And we want it to be a fixed in. So we have fixed, loose, no in. We want a fixed in. Now it says send a pulse down the string. So how to send a pulse is you literally click this little green button right here. Doink. And you just sit here and observe what's going on, and you'll answer your questions. So once you do that, you're going to hit the reset button, which again, remember, is the orange button. Hit the reset button, and you want to make sure, you want to switch, pretty much you want to make sure, so it's, again, you want it to be pulse, be no dampening, tension high, but this in, we want it to be a loose in. So we want it to be a loose in, and send a pulse, and see what happens. Okay? Hit the reset button again, and you want to make sure it is a fixed in. So you want a fixed in, and the tension to be low. So now we're switching our tension to low, and it says send a pulse. So again, we want it to be pulse. And again, you want to make sure dampening is none, and see what happens. And answer your questions. And each time you're just going to hit the reset button and do exactly what it says. Okay, so it says set the amplitude to a large possible value. So we need to, so we want pulse. So amplitude, you want it to be as big as you can get it. You want the pulse to be as big as you can get it. No dampening and low tension. Send a pulse, see what happens. And you'll be able to answer your questions that way. And then you're going to reset, you're going to pause it. Reset it. You want everything else. You want pulse, amplitude big, pulse big, no dampening, low tension. But in this case, it asks for to be a loose in. And then hit the pulse. And see what happens. Okay, and then so send a pulse down. When it reaches the other end, so we're going to pause. And it says you want it to be on slow-mo too, so we're going to redo all that. So pulse, amplitude, pulse, no dampening, low, loose in. So basically you're going to hit a pulse, and as soon as it gets to the other side, like it starts going up like that, like right now, you're going to send another pulse. Maybe hit slow-mo so you can see exactly what happens when the two pulses cross. And you'll be able to answer some questions over that. So yeah, so there you go. And then you'll have, so that's all question 1. You reset, and you'll answer again on question 2. So again, if you're dealing with tensions, switch the dampening to none. I don't know why the natural is, there's a little select oscillation mode, and then watch what happens. A couple of things you can do. You can change your frequency. So it'll say switch your frequency. You can, well, you should, okay, you have to drag it. I thought you were able to type in it. But you can drag it. Want your frequency to be 1. I'm going to select the timer and select slow motion. Okay. Click pause. And hit reset. And you're able to sit there and time it if you want. Pause, reset. So you have to turn on your timer on first. So did you see that? So if I stop, so you turn on the timer, and the timer will start as soon as I let it go. And then you're able to answer your questions through that. If you want to change your frequency, pause. If you want to change your frequency, you just sit here and change your frequency like this. Then you can just hit the reset button. Going back to questions 1, once you get it into the pulse, and you have like max amplitude, max pulse, dampening, low temperature, or not temperature, low tension, and that. So if you want to set a pulse, let's do normal. And then let's say you mess up and you're like, oh, oops, I forgot, or something. And you realize you've messed up, you can just pause it and hit this reset button up here, and everything stays the same. This is the refresh button. That changes everything. So the refresh button changes everything. If you just want to reset something, hit the reset button up there. But yeah, so that is how you use the Phet simulation. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask Miss Heath and Miss Verona. Have a wonderful day. Bye.